Well, it's that time of the week. It's time for another Craft Roulette. This is episode 140, which sounds like a milestone of some sort. Was a little tricky because essentially it is a spanner, which is almost like a bridge card. Although there is a good tutorial on how to make it on Split Coast Stampers if you want to see a pro do it, or you can just watch me and we'll see what kind of a fun thing it might turn into. Color palette is vintage, which is why I have things like gold and muted red. Actually, I think these snowflakes are exceptionally vintage because of the ends on them. They look like very 60s kind of futuristic snowflake thingies. Um, and we also have a couple other options for ribbon. We've got some that say specifically Christmassy things, but I think the gold is a little more vintage. The reason I have ribbon out is textile is one of the elements, although that could be an actual textile or it could be just, a stamp of a textile, like, say, a reindeer wearing a hat. I've been using the pattern paper version of these all weekend to make a bunch of cards, so I thought it would be good to actually break out the stamp set. Not sure if I will have them wearing a hat. I don't think so. They're all wearing scarves too. So, I think they're all wearing scarves. That one is not wearing a scarf. That one is definitely wearing a scarf. Anyway, make sure you use a reindeer with a scarf, I guess, and then have it doubly covered. And the element is outside. So, spanner card, vintage colors, outside, some sort of textile. Which is not the same as texture. There was a whole debate about it. Anyway, so I'm kind of ripping off Mary Gunn's card, which makes me feel kind of bad, but it's also sort of I don't know. A spanner card is a spanner card. Anyway, so I'm going to use my favorite Midnight Blue. I think this is the last one I have of these, since it kind of seems to fit well with the red and other things. And I pulled some cream paper. Once we get the card base cut a little bit, I can explain to you kind of how this will all work together. So, I will get rid of my Misty. I will grab my scoring board to make my life a little bit easier. So basically what I want to do is figure out how much side I want and then go from there. I think I'll go for an inch because it seems pretty straightforward. I'm scoring just down to the edge, so this would be 5.5, so an inch in would be 4.5, which is right here, and I'm just going to the edge. Just giving myself cut lines, basically. I think that is all I will need for that. We might have a crafting feline in the mix today, just because they seem to be quite snacky at the moment, or exploratory, or whatever word you want to use. Crowley, perhaps. And I'm just sort of cutting up the score line. You could, of course, do this with an X-Acto or something like that. So here's what you have. So you have a first layer with a spanner across this of some sort, and then you have this middle piece, and then you fold up the middle piece and you have your standard card back sentiment, all that kind of stuff. Could you not be helping quite so much? Anyway, so I want to figure out what size this is. So we know that this is 4.5 one way, and then I'll just measure this, and this is 3.5. So it's 3.25 by 4 if I want to do a inset panel, which I think I do. So let's make one of those. have all sorts of fantastic scraps. This is a side note, but I got this, scrap holder from Amazon, and they come in packs of 4, but it's proven really nice because you can just sort of clip it and then all your stuff stays together. So the reason I got them is that I thought that it would be pretty slick if, you're doing a bunch of projects. It would be nice just to be able to easily put everything away. So I said 4, and then I said 3.5. So this is 4. Did I say 3.5? I said that the cut is 3.5, so I really want 3.25 here. I think I will likely ink blend around this to make it look more vintagey with some sort of light brownish thing, because it is kind of my favorite. So now this will go there. I'm not going to adhere it now because this is where I'm going to do all my stamping and everything. But let's figure out what other size we need. Is this long enough? No. So the other one I want to be about 1 inch-ish. Can this all fit on? Not so much. This looks not... If I set this to 6, it looks a little thin. Let's go 5.5. That looks about good to me. Maybe a little on the thick side, but maybe I'll put the actual ribbon on here. And then... So this I would want to be 5.5 too, because that's how wide the card is. So this piece will basically adhere here. I think I want to stamp a sentiment, and then I'm thinking if I can get into the ribbon, which is always something of a challenge. I don't know if there's a good way to get into ribbon. If you know, let me know. But I'm thinking we could either maybe do that. Oh, I do like that. That I'm liking as an idea. So we just basically want, well, I guess we could just cut this and glue it and start that way. I'm not going to be like super picky because I have a sense that I may be it'll probably be easier just to trim off the edges. I don't know if you need glue to adhere ribbon. Let's try it with a tape runner and see how we go, because this stuff is pretty sticky. So I'm thinking it might just stick down and that might be fine, because I just want to sort of almost line it up and see how that works. That feels pretty stuck down. So I think at least enough where I can go and trim these edges off. Ribbon is not quite my forte, but it is fun to play with every so often. This didn't stick down, so I'm just going to grab a little dippy dab of Connect glue because it's a very dippy dab. There we go. Because it can glue almost anything. It was going to be my go-to anyway. I do want to try the Bearly Art, which I have not tried yet, but I think this should be fine. Let me just give it a little push. And I still have little flunkies. I'm liking that. I think that should be safe to... Oh, hello. That is Lennox, one of the craft kitties. Come to visit. Anyway, I think I can put a sentiment on this guy. Or gal, I suppose. This is 5.5, so something like 3-ish is kind of the middle, or I could just put it to one. I might just put it to one side. And then if I decide to embellish, I did pull these purple sequins. I felt like purple was kind of a more vintagey color and would be kind of close to this red, since I don't have sequins that are exactly that red. Anyway, I am going to go with Christmas Wishes and Reindeer Kisses, I think. Sounds cute to me today. So, the options are kind of center here. I'm thinking maybe offset and then do like something with embellishments here, because we definitely have time, and I just need to grab this. I don't think I'll do black. I think I'll do icing on the cake because it's deer and they're brown, and you know, all that stuff's probably going to be fine. I've recently realized that a lot of my zealous pushing is a little overzealous, so I'm trying to be a little nicer with my stamps, because I don't think, like, it doesn't really need it. There we go. That came out quite nicely. Do like that. I think I could, because basically I'm going to put that at the bottom, like right here, which will help solidify this piece. Do need to figure out, and I could do, the easy way thing here would be to just cut the pattern paper panels and then glue this over the top, which is probably what I'll do. I think I will not worry about embellishments at the moment. I also have like these vintage gold pearl things that that might actually match more sort of my gold vintagey theme. Anyway, let us make some side panels and glue them down, and then glue everything together, and then we'll work on our like center panel that'll basically go in the middle of the card. So that's where I'm probably going to play around with stamps a little bit more. So basically 4 inches and a 3/4 inch. And one thing I've been finding recently is that it's pretty tricky in this particular trimmer to hold really small pieces of paper. So because this is 4 inches already, like I know this is 6, and if I want 3/4, I can just put this at 5 1/4. And that's a little, for me, that's a lot easier to cut. Then, of course, you need to say that the next one would be 4 1/2. 4, 1, 2, like that. And then you have sort of these 3/4 inch side pieces done. I don't think I need to cut anything else. These I think I can just adhere with tape pretty easily. Always lots of stuff. Whoops. We'll just center that guy more or less, or girl, or whatever it feels like being today. I don't know, I feel like I've almost gone through a whole roll of tape in like the last week just making Christmas cards. I don't know about you guys, it's always like, wow, that's a lot of supplies. So I just ordered another one off of Amazon in case I run out. I do have a backup that I can put in, but I just really like that that Xyron tape gun quite a bit. Anyway, so then all I really need to do is put some tape on the side of these guys, but not too much because like there's an open area and I don't want to glue that down. If I feel like I'm going to perhaps want to embellish this, but I can always do that later. And I've really started using my scoring board just to help like attach things evenly when doing multiple layers, because nothing's more annoying than getting done and then it doesn't quite work out. So now you can see sort of how this piece works. So we can start working on the stamping portion. What I am a little interested in is, so this bottom third gets hidden. So if we want to put anything, I don't know if we're going to put anything there. We could put the reindeer near the bottom, and then like we could just do this mostly. Let's see how big these guys are. Like if we have the reindeer wearing the... Yeah. Yeah, I think if we sort of off-stamp this guy a little bit, because this is... I forget exactly how wide I cut this to. Yeah, this is an 1.5 inches. So if we keep it to the 1.5 inches, like on the bottom, then I think we could just do like snowflakes up top, and that would be kind of a cool reveal. So let us work on that. The thing I really do like about the Misties is that, and other similar stamp tools, I guess, is that because they have the measurements, it's a lot easier to figure out how you're aligning stuff. So, where did we... We want to... This is 1.5. So basically 6 inches. I mean, if we... This is going to be kind of upside down and look weird, but... Six inches is about where it would be hidden. So I basically just want like maybe the head of the reindeer. And we'll see if we guessed right. I'll do this in dark brown again, I think, too, just because, like, whoa, this is on backwards. Shoot. I did that with that balloon, too, where, like, if you put the stamp on the wrong way, it's a little bit of an oops. Okay, let's try this again. Although this does make this stamp easier to see. We're going to cut him off. We're just going to have his head here kind of poking up. But yeah, if you get it quickly, it's not too hard to get off. It's just sometimes if you don't, it's a little bit more of a pain. And that stamped pretty great. And I actually like the brown quite a lot for this guy, because, like, he's got... Since his nose is sort of filled in on the stamp, like, it seems more reasonable for it to be brown. So, let's just see if this worked out the way we thought it would. So, the idea, mostly, is that if this guy is here, and he's looking very happy, and he is hidden, and that is exactly what I was hoping for. So now I'm just going to go and put this right side up. And if I go back over to I can put him away because I don't need him anymore today. But if I grab my sentiments, they have a whole bunch of snowflakes, which would really help sort of fill in this top area. And someone had a very good idea. I forget where I actually saw it, but like if you have a bunch of, if you want to store your stamps in the package, essentially, it's a lot nicer if you cut the sticky window off. So I'm just going to use pretty much all of these. I don't want it to look too perfect, although, I don't know. The tendency is to always kind of make things look more perfect than they should. I'll just put this over here. Generally, odd numbers of things are more pleasurable to look at anyway. See, like this to me, I guess that would be too balanced. I'll leave it sort of unbalanced like this. And then I can pick all these guys up at once. And this, I believe, Something Borrowed was the blue I was using, because it's a pretty vibrant blue, as you'll see shortly. Although I suppose with vintage colors, like, it doesn't necessarily like need to be a vibrant blue. I mean, it's not going to be like super crazy because that's pretty good. It's not a perfect stamp on that one, which I just pushed a little bit, but the other ones are really nice. So now all we really need to do is color this guy. I'll reach for my favorite colored pencils, because I know I have some sort of vintagey colors. Although really, since he's not wearing the clothes, you can't really see the most vintage thing I really would like. I really like sparkly antlers, but I don't know if I have a gold. Oh, I think I do. I do have a gold. Hooray. So I want him to have sparkly antlers, because, not because that's vintage, but just because that's me. I guess sparkly antlers could be vintage. This actual, like, sort of, forget what they're calling these colors these days, but like sort of this brushed gold versus the shiny gold, I think of as very vintage too. I think he doesn't have any open areas, so what we want is kind of a muted pink, kind of. Is a brown? What kind of brown are you? Sienna brown. It looks also kind of a vintage brown. What kind of a pink? I kind of want a softer pink, like this guy, for the ears. And maybe a lighter brown. Do I have a light brown? Like a taupey color. You could do gold, I guess. Oh, here we go. This is sort of a... Oops. There go my pencils. But nothing escaped. That's good. What color are you? Beige. Okay. little beige, and then do the rest of him in this pretty warm brown. He's just sort of hiding, hoping that you're accepting his reindeer kisses. He's very bashful. He looks like a very bashful reindeer to me. Like he wouldn't think you'd actually want his kisses, so he's just sort of hiding and hoping that you'll like ask for them at some point. Anyway, reindeer stories aside, really all we have to do is stick this guy down and we're good to go. Once I remember. The challenge of crafting. Where did you put your tape gun? I actually have a tape dispenser I have to set up at some point soon, so for some liner tape. That looks very vintage to me. Maybe I will actually be uncharacteristic and do an inside sentiment, like a Happy Holidays type of thing. Because we could do that in the dark brown as well. I am really liking the dark brown. I'm just getting all the snowflakes off my Misty so that we can hopefully do that. Let's see, Merry Christmas. Let's do Jingle All the Way. And this time we're going to make sure we have this in the correct orientation, because I would be immensely cranky if we stamp this upside down. Jingle all the way. Right there. Let's go pick you up. Grab some nice, reuse this brown, because I think, like, I don't know. Is brown more vintage than black? You let me know in the comments. But to me, it feels more vintage. There we go. That is nicely stamped. So I think we have to decide if we want to use an embellishment. I do like the idea of some sort of embellishment. I do feel like these sorts of embellishment pearls are very vintage too. Although it's interesting, it's sort of like there was an interesting discussion on what exactly vintage is, which varies a lot depending who you ask. I would probably say, as someone born in the very late 70s, that to me, vintage is very much like and these are a pain to get off. To me, vintage is probably like whatever was popular in the 70s that probably got over to, I don't know, the Midwest in the 80s. So let's move you a little bit. I'm just going to do sort of a triangle. We shall see. I don't know how. These actually feel like the adhesive is pretty strong on them. But you definitely would like to have Yeah. That looks cute. Reminds me of something my grandmother would own, so to me that is vintage, I guess. So there we go. So Christmas wishes and reindeer kisses, and then on the inside we have our reindeer, and then underneath it says jingle all the way, and then people can just write their message. So I think that came out pretty nicely. It is largely based on a tutorial, so if you're interested in that link, let me know. I can certainly post that if you want to see the original, which is much more based around a Halloween card, but it's just almost the same idea. So thanks much, and chat with you guys later.